And good morning, everybody. As I frame myself up, welcome. Hot Takes, Goodman and Haertl. Bruce, how are you this morning?
I'm good. I'd be better if your microphone was in front of you.
Can you hear me now?
I've got you.
Okay. Now we are ready. I wasn't framed. There was no audio, but we are ready to go. And before we get this thing going, I want to tell you about the Sportsbook Bar and Grill. You can find them in the DTC, Highlands Ranch, and Parker. I had never been to the Parker location until a couple of days ago. I went down there to go check it out because I always go to the one in Highlands Ranch. I've been to the one in the DTC too many times to count. And the Parker location is a great location. It is a wide open space, and this is not an exaggeration. It is wall-to-wall televisions. I mean, every seat there is a great seat in the house. All the food, same menu as the other two locations. You know what I ordered when I went in there. Same consistency, different chef. The Philly cheesesteak egg rolls were outstanding. It's just a great place to go. And as I've said before, Jeremy and Judson, who started this over 15 years ago, they are big sports fans. So they created an atmosphere that would be geared up for sports, and it really is. And starting tomorrow, it is going to be a football gasm, Thursday and Friday with the national semifinals, wild card games on Saturday, wild card games on Sunday, a wild card game on Monday. So it's going to be 5 straight days of football. I'm not even including the Nuggets and the Avalanche, the Sportsbook Bar and Grill. Again, you can find them in the DTC, Highlands Ranch, and Parker. Time now for the lead.
The lead is presented by Sasquatch Casino, a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
All right, Bruce, yesterday we told you Vance Joseph was scheduled to meet with the Titans for their head coaching opening. Now Vance will be meeting with the Titans, Cardinals, Falcons, Giants, and Raiders. These are 5 of the 6 openings. The only team that has not requested to meet with him, the Cleveland Browns. I look at that as a blessing for Vance Joseph, where he doesn't have to even be tempted to take that job. And also yesterday, the Ravens and John Harbaugh parted ways. So now there are 7 head coaching openings. Do you believe, just, at first blush, the Ravens are the best fit for him? Obviously, the Ravens are the best team of all the teams that have openings.
Yeah, I think it's far and away the best fit. I think it would work very well for a guy like Vance. Baltimore's a defensive. Now obviously you're dealing with a multiple MVP at quarterback, and we have, in the aftermath of Harbaugh's departure from Baltimore, begun to hear now about some of the cracks in the armor or in the relationship between the two, talking about Harbaugh and
Lamar Jackson. But here's something else. I also read another report that really the fracture was between Jackson and their offensive coordinator, Todd Monken.
Yeah.
And the people in the front office of the Ravens reportedly wanted to keep Harbaugh. It was their owner, Bisciotti, who said, listen, you've been here 18 years. It's time for a fresh start.
And right. But whatever the case may be, I do think that would be probably the best fit. I think the Giants would probably be next, and then the Falcons, only because they're the ones that I think are closest amongst the teams out there looking for leadership to being competitive. I don't know if you can make an argument that the Falcons have their quarterback in Michael Penix, who's coming off an ACL. Kirk Cousins is about in March to be cut free and look for another contract. So I'm not sure where the Falcons are at this particular point. But you know this, Eric. There are never going to be – it's rare that there are really great jobs available, because the teams that suck are the ones generally trying to fix it by changing their coaches.
Right. The Ravens would be a good fit because the Ravens defense isn't what it used to be.
Right.
The offense has talent all around, whether it's Jackson, whether it's Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, Derrick Henry, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
My only concern overall, if I am an owner, is I would always lean towards the offensive-minded head coach. Always. And here's the reason why. If you, let's just say for the sake of argument, that Vance Joseph gets offered the Ravens job and takes the Ravens job, I'm guessing he's going to try and bring Davis Webb with him. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, Davis Webb, by the way, has an interview with the Raiders.
And I think he has an interview with the Raiders just in case Vance Joseph becomes the head coach.
Right.
Those two might be a pairing because I don't know how you promote. The bottom line for Davis Webb is this. The only way the Broncos can keep him is to promote him.
Yeah, right.
He can't offer an apples-to-apples job.
Right.
Right? So for the sake of argument, you can't have Davis Webb as the Raiders quarterbacks coach. You have to have him as the offensive coordinator, and I don't think that Sean Payton is going to let go of Joe Lombardi. They've been together way too long. So with that, my concern always about hiring a head coach with a young quarterback and him being a defensive-minded guy is you could be shuffling through offensive coordinators for a long time. That's why having Peyton here is a good thing for Bo Nix. So with that, when I look at the openings, I think the Ravens obviously would be the best choice. Right. But they're the best choice also because of all the owners. They have the best owner of all of them where there are openings. And this owner talking about Bisciotti, he doesn't meddle. And that's a huge thing. You don't want to be in a Daniel Snyder situation. You don't want to be in a situation where Jerry Jones is making all the decisions. So looking at them, I'm not so sure about the Titans ownership, but for Vance Joseph, if I'm looking at it, how much do I like their young quarterback, right?
Yeah.
When I look at the Cardinals, their ownership situation, I would not call it strong. I don't even think they have a quarterback. I don't know if Kyler Murray is going to be on this team in the next 2 years. The Falcons, do you believe in Penix? Arthur Blank is a guy who really doesn't meddle. The Giants, I agree, are probably the second best choice. But the question is about Jackson Dart. Is he going to be so injured in the next 3 years? He's even still playing football.
Fair question.
The Raiders are the Raiders. Now, my understanding is Mark Davis is not a guy who meddles, but then you have the Tom Brady situation in which people in the organization want him to be more involved.
Right.
The only way he's going to be more involved is if he quits his job at Fox. If you really want Tom Brady involved, offer him the job as team president. And that way you got him, let him be in the building every day. So for the Giants opening, if we both believe the Giants, because it's solid ownership that doesn't meddle. I know they have struggled recently, but the Mara ownership group has always been very solid.
Yep.
My thing is, I think Harbaugh is going to wind up going there.
That would be my guess. Yeah. If he wants to coach next year.
Yeah.
And I don't know where he is in that regard. Some of these guys that basically can pick up the phone and get a job, which he could do, pretty much pick any opening that he wanted, could afford to take a year off and just kind of settle a little bit too. Don't know whether that's his disposition or not, but
worked out for Mike Vrabel, didn't it?
Yeah, sure.
Took some time off.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know something, I think it is good for someone to take a little time off, gain a little perspective, but more than anything, just let the dust settle around you a little bit. You've been going, balls to the wall for so many years. It has to be good to just take a break. If for no other reason, to start to re-examine your staff and the people that you want to have around you. You can do a lot of things with a little time, especially when you're the top domino. When Harbaugh was fired yesterday, everything changed in the dynamic of coach search because Harbaugh is Stefanski would be in that mix as well. but he's far and away the top domino that we've got to wait to see how that falls, right? So he will control this coaching cycle.
He's going to control it more than we actually believe if the reports are true. There are currently 7 openings now when you include the Ravens. Let's take the Ravens out just for the sport of it.
Sure.
There are 6 openings. There are reportedly 9 teams interested in Jim Harbaugh, which in the game of musical chairs, he's not going to be lacking a chair with a team that has an opening.
Right.
And if you are currently a head coach, you might be looking over your shoulder that Harbaugh is going to replace you and you're currently under contract.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, John Harbaugh is game-changing. When a guy like him becomes available with his creds, which are undeniable, it changes everything, especially for every team that's looking for a head coach. And as you just pointed out, maybe teams that aren't necessarily looking for a head coach. I wouldn't put it past a team with someone under contract to try to get out from underneath someone to get Harbaugh in there. I mean, that's just kind of the nature of the business.
Okay. If Vance does leave as part of the Rooney Rule Development Program, the Broncos are going to get a pair of 3rd-round picks, one this upcoming year and then one next year. Hypothetically speaking, if Vance could be traded like, well, Sean Payton was traded for,
essentially, right?
And the Broncos had to give up a 1st and a 2nd round for him, what is the value in your mind of Vance Joseph to this team? Is he worth more than a pair of 3rd-round picks?
Yes, I think so.
Give me your value.
I hadn't thought about his value. I think.
But I'll throw it in there.
I'm not sure if I've got a value. I mean,
I'll give you my value. Then you bounce off of that. He's worth a 1st-round pick.
Yeah.
And here's the reason why. He is the right coach for this defense. Let's go back to 2014 and 2015. And we talked about it briefly yesterday. Jack Del Rio was the defensive coordinator. They were a middle-of-the-road defense with 10 guys who also played for Wade Phillips the next year. That coaching mattered. And I'll share a conversation. I don't think I'm speaking out of school here because I'm not saying anything controversial. I've had a long-standing relationship with Charlie Casserly. And when the Broncos were looking for a new head coach and Sean Payton was in the mix, I said, is it worth it to give up a 1st-round pick for a head coach? He said, I would consider trading more than just a 1st-round pick for the right head coach because that coach would be a culture changer. He would change everything in your organization because he has his thumb in every single pie. Now, Vance Joseph only has his thumb in the pie of the defense, but we have seen how valuable he is to that defense. And that's why I wouldn't settle for anything less than a 1st-round pick, and no team would offer a 1st-round pick.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I think his value to the Broncos is about as high as you could possibly. The way, the relationship, the scheme, the execution, the implementation, all of the things that are in black and white, he's so totally dialed into. Then you add the equation of interpersonal relationships, transactional, right? We were talking about it yesterday, Nick Saban's term. He is a guy that is totally trusted and appreciated by this defense. Guys will literally run through a wall for him because of the way that he relates, the way that he puts guys in position to succeed, and puts guys in a position to win. Those are all things that are undeniable right now. Vance Joseph is in a perfect place to be. His value as a coordinator will never be higher. He's in the right place to have that kind of value. He can afford to wait for the perfect fit for him because he will be in the head coaching cycle, I would think, for years to come. Each and every year, he would be able to take meetings and take interviews. And if he didn't like it, as long as he and Sean are on the same page, and there's nothing to indicate that they aren't, he would have a safe haven and a tremendous place to work. He said it himself. It's a great city, great team. He loves his dynamic. So he can afford to not have to go for the first thing that comes along. He can wait for the right fit.
If he doesn't get a head coaching job and another team offers him a job to be their defensive coordinator paired with assistant head coach, that would be a promotion. Mm-hmm. Do you think that Sean would make Vance the assistant head coach? I'm going to look at a team that, and I told you, ownership means a lot to me. Eberflus just got fired in Dallas.
Yep.
You have a head coach there. Let's see how it goes. Vance could be the coach in waiting if he's the assistant head coach. That's just an example. Right now, I'm guessing Vance is being paid $4 to $5 million, something in that range. Jerry comes along and says, here's 7 to 8, you're the assistant head coach. Do you think Sean says, knowing Jim Leonhard is waiting in the wings, thanks for everything, Vance?
I don't know. That's an interesting question. I always take the bird in hand and not the two in the bush, to be really honest with you. I like knowing what I know. I sense that Sean is that kind of guy, knowing what he knows, but I can't state that unequivocally. I don't know what would motivate him to keep someone.
The one thing that I think keeps Vance here, and I'm not trying to be hot take-ish, and it's going to sound hot take-ish. Sean's not an easy guy to work for. Fair to say, not an easy guy to work for. I'm wondering if
I think he can have. I think he presents challenges, but I don't think he's unfair. I'm getting that. I think after 3 years, I would say that he has very high standards.
I'll just say this. It would not surprise me if Vance doesn't get a head coaching job, that he doesn't potentially leave.
Yeah. Well,
especially if the money's better, he gets the assistant head coaching title. Now, the one thing that would keep him here are the Penners, because they're an amazing ownership group to work for. But I already think that Sean might have his eye on another gal, and that's Jim Leonhard.
Well, I mean, that only makes sense when you know that you've got a hot commodity, and you know you have a guy that year in and year out is going to be is going to be able to flirt with other teams, and other teams are going to have interest in him. Yeah, you need to have, and Jim Leonhard is a guy that you could basically move in there tomorrow and hopefully not skip a beat. Now, there's always the difference when you're a guy assisting with the defense and you're a guy running the defense.
Right.
So don't think that Vance Joseph moving wouldn't be a big deal. It'd be a really big deal inside that locker room. There's no question.
How much does it matter looking for a new head coach if they're defensive minded, offensive minded, or it doesn't matter at all?
Well, I think it's a big deal if you believe, much like the Republicans and the Democrats, that you vote one in and then you go totally the other way the next time. It's kind of like what football teams generally do. I mean, if you've had a defensive head coach, a lot of times they'll go for an offensive head coach the next time that they make a move. Then, of course, there are the questions of, Young quarterback. Do you have a young quarterback? Can you find a match for a young quarterback? Cam Ward is a really good example. You've got a young quarterback who was the first player taken in the draft. Do you have all of the answers that you need about Cam Ward? If you're the Titans, probably not at this point. My bet would be that the Tennessee Titans will take an offensively minded head coach to match with Cam Ward, because that's their, not only their future, but that's their present. So those are the type. I mean, for instance, the Arizona Cardinals just got rid of Gannon, a defensive-minded head coach, but Vance is going to interview there, where, by the way, he was the defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
But you would think that they might go offense, although their situation with Kyler Murray now is kind of like Russell Wilson was with the Broncos. Would you get rid of him in the last few years of his contract just to eat it, to get out from underneath it right now? So I don't know which way they'll go, but generally, if you've gotten rid of a defensive coach, I would look for an offensive coach to replace them in that place. It doesn't always turn out that way, but it generally seems to.
Coming up after the break, the odds are out to make the AFC Championship game, meaning the winner. The odds are out for the AFC NFC winner, and the odds are out for the Super Bowl. Where do the Broncos stand? And have the odds makers given the Broncos the top spot in the AFC because they're the best team, or because they have the home field advantage and one less game to play? Bruce, I'm putting you on the spot for that one next.
Ferguson's Heating and Cooling is the best in Denver, and their customers agree. Ferguson's has 165 5-star Google reviews, and here's one from Betsy. Highly professional, prompt, and honest. I switched to Ferguson's when I became aware my former company was trying to sell me a whole new system I didn't need. Ferguson's is an honest, working, family-owned business that'll give you a fair price, the highest quality parts and equipment, and they always show up on time. You can trust the Ferguson family like you trust your own family. Go to fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
Everyone has their favorite barbecue spot. Mine, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. My favorites, slowly smoked ribs, smoked corned beef Reuben, smoked meatloaf with a portobello balsamic cream sauce. And don't forget about Smokin' Dave's 16-hour smoked brisket and pork with one of their 4 homemade barbecue sauces. Great sides, you bet. Barbecue beans made with pork and brisket and their southern corned bake. Man, you gotta try it. Plus, they have amazing non-barbecue entrees on the menu. Go where I go, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew in North Denver.
Ever wondered where city and county fleet vehicles go when they retire? Now's your chance to find out and score big. Imagine driving away with a great deal on a reliable vehicle. For over 45 years, Roller Auction has been the trusted source for government fleet vehicles and equipment. Trucks, SUVs, sedans, and more, all selling to the highest bidder. Don't miss out. Visit roller.bid/hot takes to get auction updates today. Your next vehicle could be just a click away.
Everyone has their favorite sports bar. Mine, the Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, DTC, and now in Parker. All their locations are everything a sports bar should be. An upscale menu with 12 different burgers, outstanding wings, and my favorite, the Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. They've got every game on the NFL Sunday Ticket, MLB Extra Innings, NHL Center Ice, NBA League Pass, plus soccer, rugby, and UFC. Sportsbook, great hangout bar, great for private parties. The Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, DTC, and now in Parker. They are the sports bar.
Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos in Blackhawk have another incredible promotion. They'll be giving away a Ford Maverick Tremor truck or over $25,000 in cash the weekend of January 9th. Daily cash drawings are every 45 minutes between 10 a.m. and midnight. Players can earn daily entries with every locked-up jackpot or by redeeming players' points on their players' cards. Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos, loose slots, great promotions, delicious food, and a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
And welcome back. Hot Takes, Goodman and Haertl. Want to tell you about Ferguson's Heating and Cooling. Totally trust what Cody and Dawn do. This is a family-owned business. When we had problems with our hot water heater, we called them in the morning. They were out here hours later. When we had problems with our furnace, we called them in the morning. They were out here hours later. That's the type of service that you want. Pricing, totally fair. They don't sell you stuff that you don't need. You know exactly what I'm talking about. The companies will sell you stuff that you don't need because when a service guy comes out to your home, he is also, in theory, the salesman as well. You're not going to make a lot of money on a fix. You're going to make a ton of money as a salesman on a replacement. That's not how Ferguson's Heating and Cooling works. They're the only ones I go with. They're the only ones I will go with moving forward. Ferguson'sHeatingandCooling.com. That's Ferguson'sHeatingandCooling.com. And oh, by the way, their son Terrence happens to be a pretty good football player for the Rams. And this guy's starting to heat up, isn't he?
Yeah, and playing on a team that I think you better pay very close attention to in the NFC. I know Seattle is the number 1 seed, and I know Seattle has earned it, and I give them their flowers.
Yeah.
But the Rams are still kind of, I think, my pick in the NFC.
Well, they're my pick for the NFC as long as Devontae Adams is healthy.
Yes. I will. Yeah, right. I would agree.
Well, I appreciate you finally agreeing with me after all of these years. Time now.
We found one thing.
Time now for What's Trending.
What's Trending is presented by Ferguson's Heating and Cooling. Your family should trust the Ferguson family for all your heating and cooling needs, and you'll see why they have over 165 5-star Google reviews. Make an appointment today at fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
I know you love talking about odds. Know you love talking about betting, as you don't bet on anything, but I know that you're familiar with it as well. Fanatic Sportsbook lists the Broncos as favorites to win the AFC at nearly 2.5 to 1 odds.
Yeah.
Spit that out. It's
Gotcha.
plus 230. It's nearly 2.5 to 1 odds. Patriots are 4 to 1. Bills nearly 5 to 1. Texans 5 to 1. Jaguars nearly 6 to 1. Chargers 13 to 1. Steelers 18 to 1. Do you think the Broncos are the favorite because they have the best team in the AFC, or because they have the first round bye and they're going to play one less game?
They have a very good team, but it's their situation that they've earned that makes them the team to beat, period. And there's nothing wrong with that. Would I still rather have the bye? Would I still only have 2 games at home? Would I rather have teams coming to play in altitude at home having to beat me? Yeah, that does make me the favorite. And you know what? I'm just fine with that. And the Broncos are a very good team. I don't think, Eric, and I'd be willing to listen to an argument from you on it. I don't think there's a great team in the AFC. I'm not sure there's a great team. There may be in the NFC, but I think it's kind of a weird year that way. I don't think that you look at any of the 14 teams in this thing and can't see a scenario in which all of them have a chance to go down, right? So with that in mind, I'll be the tallest one in a room of vertically challenged. And you know what? When you have a bye in the first round and you've got 2 games at home, that does give you a tremendous advantage, and I'll take the advantage, whether I think they're the best team in the AFC or not.
Okay. I think the Broncos have a great defense and an inconsistent offense. I think that the 2 most balanced teams in the AFC are New England and Jacksonville. They are more balanced than the Broncos. No?
Yes. And I think the Bills are more balanced than the Broncos.
No, I don't think their defense is very good. I think Josh Allen is the great equalizer. For sure. They have a ridiculous running game with number 4. I've been betting on this guy all year.
Yeah.
and he's one of the best running backs in the league. When you look at the Bills' offense, they're really good at the tight end position. When I look at their wide receiver core, not overly impressed. What I like about New England and Jacksonville is this. And listen, Jacksonville has had some close games, and I get that, but not as many as the Broncos.
Right.
We saw what Jacksonville did here, but they are balanced on offense and they're balanced on defense. I think the most balanced team in the AFC is New England. And while this seems minor to you, New England and Jacksonville, both, probably knowing that the Broncos were going to beat the Chargers, still went out and kicked the crap out of their opponents in games that they were supposed to beat. They were supposed to win those games, but they won them convincingly. And I compare them to Indiana football. They don't play down to their competition. Right. Not only did they take care of business, talking about New England and Jacksonville in the regular season finale, they did it convincingly. And my concern about the Broncos is they can't do anything convincingly.
Let me get back to the Bills and push back a little bit. They are the only team in this thing that has a top 7 offense and top 7 defense.
I've watched them. I watch the Bills a lot because I'm a Bills fan. I don't care what the stats say. It's irrelevant to me because right now, if you look at the Broncos offense, they're probably close to being a top 10 offense too, and they're not. They're buoyed by fourth quarters. Let's not. You and I have talked about stats a lot. The eye test tells me the Bills defense has some issues.
I think the Bills are the best betting value in the AFC.
I would agree.
And they have the best quarterback in this tournament in the AFC.
The most proven. Right now, Drake May has been unbelievable.
Yeah. No, he sure has. But I will take the proven commodity in Josh Allen, as anyone would. I think if you can compare and contrast, I don't think the Broncos I think that they probably, from a standpoint of trust on a neutral field in the AFC, I think that you probably could make an argument that they might be 3, right? I mean, they might be. I mean, you've got to give Jacksonville their credit. They came in here and pretty much kicked the Broncos' ass. So you've got to give them credit, and they've won 8 straight games. I mean, they're playing extremely well. And by the way, they're playing at home. Now, they've got a tough game at home. That's a very intriguing matchup in the opening round. Probably, I think, the game of the weekend. But anyway, but the margin, but when I say if the Broncos are like maybe 3rd or wherever they are, it's not by such a large margin that I would blush. And the fact that they're playing at home does mean something to me. And the fact that they're playing coming off of a bye does mean something to me. I think it helps their plight. My God, listen to how breathless those players and coach were about getting the number 1 seed because they know how important it is. So, it's a really big deal to be the number 1 seed and to get this time off to prepare and then to play at 5,280 feet against a team that will be coming in basically the day before they play in the divisional round and or the AFC championship.
I want to dig into something that has been talked about all season with the Broncos. And the Broncos players, understandably, have gotten defensive about it. When we talk about style points, they don't win with a flair, meaning they don't win by a couple of touchdowns. Is that a narrative that we've heard most of the season?
It continues to be. Even after they finished 14-3, it's still somehow a topic. Yeah.
I want to give you something to think about, and I'm curious to know what you think about it. There is a reason why the Broncos don't win with style points. It's because their offense doesn't execute enough. If they executed better on first down, if they executed better in the red zone, specifically in the last 3 games.
Yeah.
And let's look at the last 2 games.
Yeah, the last 2 games are really egregious.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, well, we don't have, as long as we win, that's all that matters. No, you didn't win by more because you didn't execute on offense. That's why. They executed well in the Chargers game because they had a long, sustained drive, which, guess what, ended with a field goal. It's not as if they're not trying to score and make it a close game and not have style points. It's because they're not executing. And I think that's what we're not talking about enough here. I understand what their record is. I understand they're the number 1 seed and they have home field advantage. Against many of the teams that they have played this year, they should have won by a lot more. But they didn't because they had penalties on first down and too many penalties in general. They have too many 3-and-outs. And at least in the last 2-3 games, they're not executing in the red zone. So it's not as if they're intentionally trying to win 1-score games. They're being forced to win 1-score games because their offense is not consistent enough, for the most part, on first down and the red zone. That is a definitive problem that they have had for the majority of the season. So we can call it style points if we want to. But if they were better on first down consistently, not going 3-and-out, better in the red zone, then they're winning by 10 points for the most part in a lot of their games. So let's not get caught up in style points. For the most part, the offense has not executed cleanly, whether it's penalties, first down, or the red zone for the majority of the year.
And we could very well be having that same conversation in another 3 weeks as the Broncos are getting ready for the Super Bowl. I'm not going to push back on it. You're right. It is a problem with execution. It's been ongoing. They are always looking to ascend.
And let me throw another little stat at you just for fun.
Sure.
For as great as R.J. Harvey has been as a rookie, with all the touchdowns that he has scored, and he is their bell cow back right now. We'll see if J.K. Dobbins comes back. R.J. Harvey is averaging 3 yards a carry between the tackles.
Yeah, he hasn't quite figured that out. Jaleel McLaughlin has been better between the tackles in the last couple of games. Certainly the last game, he was their best back. So, that continues to be a work in progress. And that's the key. It is just because they're here now, they're still trying to improve. It doesn't mean that they're a finished product. You're always, Joe Lombardi 2 weeks ago said, you're always trying to ascend. Every single time after games, you're always looking to clean up. That's a big phrase that they use, as you know, in the locker room. We got things to clean up. That basically means we have things that we've got to get better at. That's something or other that they're trying to do every single week. And it can be frustrating to people that tune in to the Broncos every week, and maybe they're not as aware of what they're trying to do every week in terms of preparing, putting in a game plan, trying to be good in the game plan, trying to be able to implement what they want to execute, and all of these things. All people see is the end result. And if you're just looking at it from Sunday to Sunday, you're not seeing maybe the type of progress that you would like to see in terms of consistency.
But are they really
execution? That's
but
right.
Are they really clean? Have you really seen them clean it up week after?
Yeah,
2 games in a row.
Penalties. Yeah, they've taken care of penalties. They've taken care of. They are generally, not totally, but generally a much more consistent team in special teams now. They still have their moments.
Talking about offense only.
Yeah, offense only.
They've been terrible in the red zone over the last couple of games.
Yeah,
against 2 teams that didn't play all their starters.
That was still a pretty good defensive unit the Chargers put out there. They didn't start 3 guys.
They're 3 best guys.
Okay. With all due respect, you're fitting your narrative. That was a good defense. That
Yeah, they're
defense,
good.
that defense was a very good defense. The Broncos,
Are they that good? Are they really that good that they held the Broncos to 12 points offensively? Are they really that good?
I mean, Eric, I don't know what makes you happy. I get the sense that you obviously want to see the execution. You want to see them score points.
Well, my point is this.
All you needed to know was once they got up 10-0, the way that Sean Payton called that game totally changed. Totally changed. Now,
Did he hold on. Did he call the game any differently in the red zone when they were 0 for 3?
No, the execution was lacking.
Bingo. That's my point.
And so you got to get better at it. So how do you get better at it?
Get better at it. You're done with the regular season.
But
where do you have a chance to get better at it? Your first playoff game?
But every team you play provides different challenges in the red zone. Everybody does things differently in the red zone. Offenses try different things in the red zone. Defenses are trying to keep you out. It's where the games are won and lost is in the red zone. You're constantly trying to get better in the red zone. Just because you're at the end of the regular season doesn't mean you're a finished product. You got to keep working to get better at it. That's all I've got for you, man. That's it. You got to keep working to get better. The Broncos have been good in the red zone plenty this year. They haven't been good lately in the red zone. And that is a concern going to the postseason, no question.
You might disagree with me. You're out of time trying to get better. You're in the playoffs now. You are who you are. You are who you are. And again, let's not conflate winning close games, which is impressive, winning one-score games. That is the truest test of a great team. Winning close games, winning games in the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. They have put on a masterclass this year. No question about it. However, let's not be fooled in thinking that winning close games has very little, if anything, to do with not executing well enough on first down where you're in a third and long, taking pre-snap penalties, delay of game penalties, and not scoring in the red zone. You are out of time trying to get better. That's it. Aren't you done?
No, I don't think so. I think that you're always working on things. That's
of course you're working on it. You've had 17 weeks to work on it. And in their last two games, not good in the red zone.
Yeah, but you're taking the last two games
against two teams that should have been blowouts. Now, that's the word style points, and I get it. Yeah. But they didn't win by bigger margins, not because of the defense. It's because they didn't execute in the red zone.
But they have executed in the red zone. So if it's really important to someone making the argument
to everyone, it should be important, not to someone. It's important to everyone. You're not going to win.
You're making a definitive statement based on what you've seen in the last 2 weeks. More power to you. If you believe that, then great. They have been a good red zone team at times this season. They have been a good offense at times this season. The consistency is what we're arguing. That I'm on board with you. Totally. Their lack of consistency and the lack of being able to trust it from week to week. There is still far too much of a, hey, what do we have today feel with this offense, right? There is. For me, there's too much of a, oh, okay, this is how it's going to be today. But there have also been days where they've been good, where they've handled good long drives, scored points after it. They've been patient, playing against teams with two-man high and zone cover, keeping everything in front of them. They've been adaptive. They've shown some good things. I don't know who they're going to play. We don't know who they're going to play yet. I mean, it'll boil down to game plan and how you execute on that particular day. And you know what? That's no different than any other damn day that you play in the National Football League. The difference is you're going to be guaranteed to be playing a very good football team. And the stakes for your execution or the lack of it are enhanced tremendously, magnified. So yes, on all of that, you're absolutely right. But the Broncos have demonstrated ability in virtually every area that we're talking about, not consistently. And that is a problem, depending on your perspective. But they also have done it. And they've also done it at very key times during this season. That's how you get to 14-3 in the NFL.
That's going to do it for us. Hot Takes, Goodman and Haertl. Make it the best possible day you can.